It was supposed to be a fun weekend getaway. My wife and I had found a cheap deal online for a stay at a historic mansion in the countryside. The pictures looked amazing, and the reviews were mostly positive. We packed our bags and drove for hours, eager to explore the place and relax. We arrived at dusk, and the mansion looked even more impressive in person. It was a huge Gothic-style building, surrounded by a well-kept garden and a wrought iron fence. The owner, a friendly old man, greeted us at the door and showed us to our room. He told us that the mansion was built in the 19th century by a wealthy family and that it had a lot of history and secrets. He also warned us not to wander around at night, as some parts of the house were off-limits and unsafe. We thanked him and settled in our room, which was spacious and cozy. We decided to take a nap before dinner, and we fell asleep on the comfortable bed. I woke up a few hours later, feeling thirsty. I looked at the clock and saw that it was past midnight. I got up and headed to the bathroom, but as I opened the door, I heard a faint noise coming from downstairs. It sounded like a piano playing. I was curious, and I decided to check it out. I put on my slippers and robe and quietly left the room. I followed the sound of the music, which grew louder as I approached the main hall. There I saw a grand piano and a woman sitting on the bench. She was wearing a long white dress and her hair was dark and curly. She was playing a beautiful but sad melody, and she didn't seem to notice me. I was mesmerized by her, and I felt a strange attraction to her. I wanted to talk to her, to ask her who she was and why she was here. I took a step towards her, but then I heard a scream. It was my wife. She was calling my name, and she sounded terrified. I turned around and ran back to our room, forgetting about the woman and the piano. I burst into the room and saw my wife on the bed, clutching the sheets. She was pale and shaking, and she had tears in her eyes. She looked at me and said, "Where were you?" I had a horrible nightmare. There was a man in the room, and he tried to kill me. He had a knife, and he stabbed me in the chest. I felt the pain, and I woke up. But he was still here, standing over me. He was wearing a suit, and he had a mustache. He looked like the owner, but younger. He smiled and said, "You're not her. You're not my wife." And then he disappeared. I was shocked and confused. I hugged her and tried to calm her down. I told her that it was just a dream, that there was no one in the room, that we were safe. But she didn't believe me. She said that it was real, that she saw him and felt him. She said that we had to leave, that this place was haunted, that we were in danger. I didn't know what to do. I wanted to believe her, but I also wanted to rationalize what had happened. Maybe she had a bad reaction to something we ate, or maybe she was stressed out. Maybe the old house and the stories had gotten to her. Maybe there was a logical explanation for everything. But then, I remembered the woman and the piano. I remembered how I felt when I saw her, and how I heard her music. I remembered how real she seemed, and how I wanted to talk to her. I wondered if she was the owner's wife, and if she was the one he was looking for. I wondered if she was a ghost, and if she was trying to lure me in. I felt a chill run down my spine, and I realized that maybe my wife was right. Maybe this place was haunted, and maybe we were in danger. Maybe we had to leave, and fast. I grabbed our bags and told her to follow me. We ran out of the room and down the stairs, hoping to find the owner and get our car keys. But as we reached the main hall, we saw something that made us stop in our tracks. The woman and the man were there, standing by the piano. They were holding hands and they were smiling. They looked at us and said in unison,
"Hi guys, thank you so
Welcome
much
to
for
our
watching.
home.
And if you like
We've been
the
waiting
voices,
for you."
Please make sure to like and subscribe if you want to. See you in the next video. Bye.
I always loved horror movies and haunted houses. I thought they were fun and thrilling, not scary at all. That's why I was so excited when I heard about the new attraction in town, the House of Horrors. They claimed it was the most realistic and terrifying experience ever, and that only the bravest could survive. I was curious and confident, so I bought a ticket and went there with my friends. The House of Horrors looked like an old mansion with a dark and gloomy exterior. There was a long line of people waiting to enter, some of them looking nervous and others eager. We had to sign a waiver before we could go in, saying that we understood the risks and that we agreed to follow the rules. The rules were simple: no phones, no cameras, no flashlights, no weapons, and no turning back. Once you enter, you have to go through the whole house until you reach the exit. If you scream, cry, or beg for mercy, you lose. If you touch anything or anyone, you lose. If you break any rule, you lose. And if you lose, you have to face the consequences. We were given a number and a time slot, and we waited for our turn. When our number was called, we followed a staff member to the entrance. He gave us a brief introduction and a warning. This is not a game. This is not a joke. This is a real horror. You will see things that will make you question your sanity. You will hear things that will make you wish you were deaf. You will feel things that will make you scream in pain. You will face your worst fears and nightmares. And you will not be alone. There are others in the house, and they are not friendly. They are hungry, and they are waiting for you. Do you still want to enter? We nodded, trying to act brave. He smiled wickedly and opened the door. Good luck. You'll need it. He pushed us inside and slammed the door behind us. We were plunged into darkness. We tried to stay together, holding hands and moving slowly. We could hear eerie sounds all around us. Whispers, moans, laughter, screams. We could smell something rotten and metallic, like blood and decay. We could feel a cold breeze and a damp floor. We had no idea where we were going or what we were doing. We just wanted to get out as fast as possible. We stumbled upon a staircase and decided to go up, hoping to find a way out. As we climbed, we saw flashes of light and shadows on the walls. We heard footsteps and voices behind us. We felt something grab our ankles and pull us down. We screamed and kicked, trying to free ourselves. We lost our grip and fell to the floor. We looked up and saw them, the others. They were not human. They were monsters. They had pale skin, red eyes, sharp teeth, and claws. They wore torn clothes and had bloodstains all over them. They looked like zombies, vampires, werewolves, and other creatures from horror movies. But they were real, and they were hungry. They surrounded us, snarling and drooling. They reached for us, tearing our clothes and skin. They bit us, sucking our blood and flesh. They laughed, enjoying our pain and fear. They said, "Welcome to the House of Horrors. You are our dinner." We tried to fight back, but we were outnumbered and overpowered. We tried to escape, but we were trapped and doomed. We tried to call for help, but no one heard us. We tried to survive, but we failed. We lost. This is my story. This is how I died. This is the House of Horrors. I should have known better than to book a room at the old Manson Hotel. The place looked like a haunted mansion from a horror movie, with its crumbling facade, dusty windows, and eerie silence. But I was desperate for a place to stay, and the price was too good to pass up. I checked in at the reception, where a creepy old man with a crooked smile handed me a rusty key. He told me I was the only guest that night, and that I could choose any room I wanted. He also warned me not to wander around the hotel after dark, as there were some unpleasant surprises waiting for me. I ignored his warning and headed to the second floor, where I found a room that looked relatively clean and cozy. I locked the door behind me and threw my backpack on the bed. I was exhausted from a long day of traveling, and I just wanted to get some sleep. I turned off the lights and crawled into the bed, hoping to drift off into a peaceful slumber. But as soon as I closed my eyes, I heard a loud thump from the floor above me. It sounded like someone was dragging something heavy across the wooden planks. I sat up and listened, wondering what was going on. The thump was followed by a scream, a blood-curdling scream that made my hair stand on end. It was a woman's voice, full of pain and terror. She was begging for mercy, pleading for someone to stop. I jumped out of the bed and grabbed my phone, ready to call the police. But before I could dial the number, the scream was cut off by a loud bang. A gunshot, then silence. I felt a chill run down my spine as I realized I was not alone in the hotel. There was a killer on the loose, and he had just murdered someone upstairs. And he might be coming for me next. I ran to the door and tried to open it, but it was stuck. I twisted the knob and pulled with all my strength, but it wouldn't budge. I was trapped in the room with no way out. I looked around for a weapon, something to defend myself with. But all I could find was a lamp, a chair, and a pillow. None of them would do much against a gun. I heard footsteps on the stairs, getting closer and closer. I backed away from the door, hoping it would hold. I prayed that the killer would not notice me, that he would leave me alone. But my prayers were not answered. The door handle rattled, and then a loud bang echoed through the room. The door flew open, and a man stepped inside. He was tall and muscular, wearing a black mask and a leather jacket. He held a shotgun in his hands and a grin on his face. He looked at me and said, "Hello there. I've been expecting you." He raised his gun and aimed at my chest. I screamed and closed my eyes, waiting for the end. But it never came. Instead, I heard another bang and then a thud. I opened my eyes and saw the man lying on the floor, blood pooling around his head. Behind him, I saw the old man from the reception holding a revolver. He smiled and said, "Don't worry, son. You're safe now. I'm the owner of this hotel, and I've been hunting this bastard for a long time. He's been killing my guests for years, and I finally caught him. He's the Manson Hotel killer, and he's dead." He walked over to me and offered me his hand. I took it and got up, still shaking from the shock. He said, "I'm sorry you had to go through this, son. It's not the best way to welcome a guest, but you're lucky to be alive. You're the first one to survive his attack." He led me out of the room and down the stairs, where he called the police. He told them what happened, and they arrived in minutes. They took the killer's body away and asked me some questions. They thanked me for my cooperation and told me I was free to go. The old man offered me a ride to the nearest town, where I could find another hotel. I accepted his offer and got into his car. He drove me away from the old Manson Hotel, which was now surrounded by police tape and flashing lights. As we drove, he said, "You know, son, you're very brave. You faced the Manson Hotel killer, and you lived to tell the tale. That's something to be proud of." I nodded, but I didn't feel proud. I felt lucky. Lucky to be alive, lucky to escape, lucky to have met the old man. But as we drove, I noticed something odd, something that made me doubt my luck. The old man was wearing a leather jacket, the same leather jacket as the killer. He looked at me and said, "You know, son, there's something I forgot to tell you." He smiled and said, "I'm not the owner of this hotel. I'm his partner." He reached for his revolver and said, "And this is the end of your story."